Hello ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here, and this right here is Fractured Lands, and I do apologise for my voice. It probably sounds a little bit odd, and I'm just not feeling so good, so that's why I'm recording this like this. But yes, this is a post-apocalyptic Battle Royale game set in the world of Mad Max, and normally at this point I would just click play and continue, but I'm actually recording this after the beta playtest has ended, so what you're actually going to see is pre-recorded stuff with me talking over it, and hopefully right now, if I remember to do it in editing, you will have gameplay playing over the top. So, what this game is, it's essentially Mad Max, but put into a Battle Royale game, and it makes me wonder why we didn't have this from the beginning, because if you really think about it, Mad Max and that setting is just the perfect thing for Battle Royale. You really think about it, like every single person living in that universe is essentially living in a Battle Royale. Like, at any moment, someone's going to kill them and take their shit, and that's literally what this game is all about. There are two parts to this game. So, while the world itself may remind you a little bit of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and H1Z1, or H1Z1, for people who pronounce it differently, it has its own uniqueness to it, because there is also vehicular combat. So, while you can be on foot shooting at people, and it is in first person, not third person, like a lot of the others are, you also have this vehicle side of things, and you'll actually see you can pick up upgrades from the ground and you can put them onto your vehicle. So aside from just having all the guns, which are, by the way, completely modifiable, you also have the cars themselves, which are modifiable. Now at the moment there is only one chassis, but as we saw in the menu, there are a lot of tabs that do correspond to certain cosmetic things, such as character customization and vehicle, and I do believe they are going to be adding a lot of cosmetics in the future. At least it seems to be hinting towards that. But for now, everybody starts off with the same bare-bones chassis, with no doors, no bumpers, and away you go. And the cars do actually have 3 different seats in them right now, so while you can only access 2 of them, the game is nicely set up for a 3-man squad, at the very least. So there could be some very interesting co-op gameplay in future. That's not implemented at this present time, but you can actually see just how the combat in particular plays out in the background there. So we've got a few different classes of weapons. We've got an assault rifle, which is definitely styled after a Star AUG. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, it's the AUG. It's a bullpup assault rifle, which is not something you do see very commonly as a standard thing, and it does come with a scope, which is one of the few weapons to actually come with one. The other weapons as well include a battle rifle, that's a M14, a semi-automatic rifle there, and we've also got a sniper rifle, which works it looks like a Dragunov, but it actually, or an SVD for some of you guys, it does look like one, but it does actually require recocking after every shot, so it is more or less a bolt-action sniper rifle. And there is also a shotgun, which is quite effective in close range, and actually seems to have a much narrower spread than you would expect from a lot of shotguns right now. There is also an SMG, which definitely looks to be an Uzi or similar sort of centrally magazine-mounted type SMG, which is also, again, quite effective, as you can see. So there are a lot of different weapon options, and of course there is also a pistol. Now, all these weapons do definitely suit that post-apocalyptic feel very, very nicely. They're all very nicely kitted out, and they can be modified in many, many ways. It's very difficult right now to kind of show you how many mod slots each weapon has, but there are quite a lot. There are muzzle mods, magazines, scopes, stocks, grips, amongst other things. So they do actually have quite a lot of weapon mods already implemented. It's just that the weapon itself, at least in the menu, doesn't seem to have the visible slots, so it's harder to know exactly what goes on what. Thankfully, though, they have included a system that does mean you don't need to worry about that. If you pick up a mod that is objectively better than what you currently have, you'll get a little arrow next to it, and it will automatically equip it as long as that slot is empty. So it will tell you if something is better, and then you'll know to go into your inventory to equip it. But otherwise, you don't even need to worry about it. It will just auto-equip the mods that you have, which is very, very useful. At the same time, for modifying your vehicle, it's just a matter of going up to the front or back of your vehicle, and then hitting F. And then you simply right-click on anything, and so long as your vehicle has the capacity for it, because it has its own weight limit, you can simply mount things directly onto the vehicle very quickly, and then you can just be done with that. So the vehicle modding and weapon modding is very, very simple. Although it still has a decent amount of depth to it, it's very simple to get a hand on or get a grip to it. I don't know what I'm saying. My brain isn't working right now. Either way, though, there's a lot of depth to it already in this current phase, which is very, very promising. The game does show a lot of potential in that scene, and as you can see from the graphics around it, I do apologize right now that the performance isn't great. It is still really early in development and still has a lot of optimization to do. But if you just briefly look at just sort of the scenery right now, you can see that they have very nicely realized this Mad Max style universe. In fact, the storm itself is very, very nicely done. It looks almost like what you can actually see in Mad Max Fury Road. So it's a very, very nicely done game thematically. As for character equipment, all of the stuff definitely does fit into the world, and of course graphically you can see them on the actual character, and by the time you're fully kitted out, you definitely do look like a proper Wastelander. So I can definitely say that it carries its theme forward very, very well. Gameplay-wise, there's still some ways to go in its current phase, and unfortunately you can only get into it during select playtesting times, and these are announced beforehand on their Twitter account. Unfortunately, at this point in time, they aren't actually giving out more keys, so we'll have to wait and just keep an eye on their Twitter if you want to get into it. But I will say, there are a couple of things that need doing. Performance definitely is one on the list for sure, and I think a little bit of work on the gunplay is needed. Some of the guns definitely don't feel like they recoil as much as you would expect them to, and it doesn't seem to reward skill-based shooting as much as I would have expected. It's still unclear as to how ballistics works in this game. I don't know if there actually are any forms of bullet drop or anything like that. It does appear that you do have to lead the target to a certain degree, but as for drop, it's really unclear as to whether that's a thing or how severe it is, and as well as damage fall off, it's not really clear how that works either. I did have some success with the AR and the shotgun as well as the SMG, but I haven't had a chance to personally try out the sniper rifle myself. However, I will say that, having seen some people use it on Twitch as well, it is quite a potent weapon in the right hands. The other thing as well is that damage feedback just is virtually non-existent at this point. You'll notice in a couple of the clips I actually take damage, but there is no visual representation for that. The health bar drops, but that's it. There isn't even a single flash on the screen or even a hit indicator or anything of the sort to let you know that you've taken damage. So oftentimes I walk away from a fight only to realize later on that I've actually lost health, and have no explanation as to when that happened, because we took damage during a firefight, and it's just not clear that that even happened at that point in time. So that is something definitely needs working on. Item durability and degradation is also a thing, and because the icons are so small, it's really hard to see how much they're degrading to. So that's another thing they do need to work on. I will say a unique mechanic to this game, aside from the vehicular combat as well, is the presence of the gas mask or dust mask that you can get. You'll notice that occasionally I have actually picked up an item that fits over the head, and that's not just the helmet, but there is also a separate item which protects the face. Now, it doesn't specifically protect you from bullets, but what it actually does is allow you to survive in the storm longer. Of course, there is a ramped up, or like an increase in damage over time the longer you are in the storm, but it does allow you to survive a little bit longer by reducing that damage initially, or at least until the durability of that mask is completely worn out. So that is actually quite unique. It does actually allow you to survive a little bit longer. As for the vehicles themselves, the handling is still a little bit bouncy. The physics still have a number of bugs that need to be worked out, including the bounciness of certain terrains, which can cause your vehicle to flip out quite a lot. And with the current frame rate, steering can be a bit of an issue. If you notice, some of my driving is subpar at best, but even so, Some of these crashes could otherwise be avoided if the frame rate was a little steadier than it was, but that, of course, is something that we know they'll work on anyway, so it's not really a huge issue at this point. But I figured it's worth mentioning if you are getting into the beta right now. At the same time, I have noticed the vehicles themselves do perform in quite a unique way. When I was looking at games like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds and H1Z1, the vehicles, of course, have the ability to be refueled, but they don't have the ability to be repaired, so any damage they do take is permanent. And you'll notice that some of these vehicles also have their individual health bars, but you can repair your vehicle over time by using certain consumables in the same way you would heal your character. But aside from that as well, the fuel consumption of your vehicle is a big factor in the game. In fact, you may actually notice at this point, one of the clips, I have actually abandoned my car completely because it ran out of fuel. And that is a really, really big issue in this particular game. So cars aren't forever, and you may end up fighting on foot at some point. So what I actually was able to do was not only remove some of the modifications and transfer them to another car of a dead player and continue on, but I was actually able to loot some of the items from them and make use of them as well. So you can, in case you're wondering, yes, you can absolutely steal the cars of other players. If somebody parks up next to a building and chooses to go and loot inside, you can sneak up and steal their car and make off with it, if that is something you are inclined to do. It is definitely something that's perfectly doable in the game. The weapon mods, or rather the vehicle mods themselves are pretty extensive, actually. Not only do you have a front and rear bumper attachment, you have a trunk attachment, which can come in the form of a fuel tank, a jet booster in some cases, extra trunk space. You've also got the door slots, you've got, I believe, a hood slot. I'm not really too sure on what the other one is supposed to be. And there is also a windscreen shot as well. Or windscreen slot, rather, as well, so you can put some armor on there. And that really goes a long way to protect the driver. While the vehicles themselves are kind of vulnerable to damage, they can take a number of weapon shots, so I've been hit several times with the assault rifles and SMGs, and even a couple of sniper rifles, and the vehicles seem to survive pretty well. There is also modular damage, so shooting out the tires of a vehicle is still a viable tactic, but getting proper armored tires can help prevent that from happening at the cost of certain amounts of handling ability, so the vehicles do slide around a little bit more with the armored tires than they would with something like off-road tires, for example. So your vehicle handling, and the balance between handling and durability is definitely there. But I will say, yeah, protection for the driver is still paramount. It is still entirely possible to snipe the driver out from a vehicle, and that's something you do definitely want to prevent. So some of the early items that you might get, like the makeshift doors and things, offer very, very limited protection, but they do at least protect your body. They don't protect you from headshots. So that's something that definitely you do need to consider, and it's definitely different from other games that I've played in this genre. But all in all, I just wanted to put this video up just to kind of give you a quick glimpse at what Fractured Lands is really all about. It's still kind of working its way up, and I think it could be a genuine contender in the Battle Royale scene, alongside PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And, of course, the King of the Hill right now, Fortnite. So, well, I should say King of the Kill right now, because H1Z1. But either way, all joking aside, it is still one that is worth looking out for, because even though it's very early in development, it definitely shows a lot of potential, and I think this dynamic between character and vehicle combat can definitely provide something new and refreshing into the genre. And, you know, as far as some people might say that the Battle Royale genre is getting oversaturated, I think it's hardly even scratched the surface, with there being only 2 big games to play right now. So that's a thing. But, of course... Oh, what's that? I've just got a notification. Well, Realm Royale has just come out from Hi-Rez, so now there's another one to play. So, yes, the BR genre is going to get crowded very soon, and hopefully there's room for Fractured Lands, because I think this is a fantastic game. So do go and check it out. If you can get a beta key for it, I do highly encourage you to do so. If not, I'm pretty sure that we're going to early access pretty soon, but there's no exact date on that yet, so... Either just wait for it to come out on Steam, or see if you can be lucky enough to grab a couple of beta codes. I'm not going to make any promises, but I'm going to try to get some beta codes for people, so if you want to get a chance to get one, make sure you pop by to my Twitch stream, which is linked down below. Drop a follow on there, and so make sure you don't miss a stream, because if I do manage to get a hold of some keys, I'll definitely be giving it away on there. But thank you very much for watching. My name is Panzer, and I'll see you next time.